from this.
You're on.
We're on.
You ready? Oh dear. Right, well I'll explain myself first of all. Obviously, World Cup, the Euros was going on, and we all got giddy and getting behind the team, behind the boys. I had very dark, thick hair, so it took four efforts of bleaching.
Is that 4 efforts?
I did not know. That's why my scalp here at the top is red,
yeah,
and a bit crispy and burnt. 4 lots of toner, 4 lots of purple shampoo, and we were still ginger.
Wow.
/ golden.
That is unreal.
So yesterday morning, shaved it off. The colour, how it was, like it was a bit more attention seeking and embarrassing than it would be if it was shaved off.
Yes, yeah. That's the shortest I've ever seen your hair as well.
Yeah, well I did have a number 1 all over for about 3 years when I was at uni. So when it grows probably another couple of days, I'll go again, and it'll probably go a bit darker. And
so you're not going to try and go even lighter again?
well, I thought I might go sides and shave it, and then just have a little bit of a tinge on the top, and grow that out, see if it goes.
Because Foden's is proper white, isn't it? I'm like really white, and when I saw yours, I was like, oh, so season 1, I guess he just needs to do 1 more, but you've done 4.
I did 4, and to be fair, the 4th one, if I left it on, this is a long time talking about my hair. The 4th one, if I left it on, would have gone a lot lighter, but it was hurting that much on my skin.
Yeah, that you can.
Like I couldn't have it on longer than 10 minutes. I had to go and wash it off because it was actually like agony.
Really hurt. Yeah.
So yeah, enough about my head.
Well, I think that's the longest we've ever talked about your hair ever. What's been going on with my head?
What's happened with your head? Yeah, why are you wearing a cap?
It's gone down quite a lot already, but
yeah, you can see a bit red on top there.
Yesterday, I looked like a stegosaurus. Yesterday, it was like literally like that. Can you see where I've hit it there? And also, I've still got a scratch here from the last bump. So I'll go back to next week first. So it was last week.
Go back to 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago.
So 6 weeks ago, we were literally filming a little demo video of burpee chest and bar pull-ups in the gym.
Oh yeah.
You set up under the bar.
I knew, yeah.
And if me and Reggie didn't
said anything, I would have.
Jump up.
I forgot about that one. So that's number 1. Number 2.
This is actually leading to the topic of the podcast, by the way. So
we will get there. Number 2. I went to do butterfly chest to bar pull-ups on the rig on the inside. Cut my head, which you could see all the blood if you followed me last week, on my kind of fod here. And then yesterday, did it again, went for a butterfly chest to bar pull-up and on the inside and hit right on the conch of my head. This one didn't hurt that much, even though it looked worse. This one really hurt. My neck after, I was like, ooh. And last night was bad. I felt like I got whiplash, but and all Hannah could say was, how have you not learned your lesson? Like, why not be more careful? And I'm like, it's one of them where I don't know how I've done it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not even crossing my mind.
What made me laugh even more though, like I came in probably not long after you'd gone, and the guys in the gym had told me what happened, and they were pretty concerned. Like, I think he might have gone to hospital, like he was in a bit of pain. So I messaged saying, "Are you alright?" And you were just like, he messaged back and just like, "What do you mean? What's happened?" I was like, "What do you mean? What's happened? You just knocked yourself out of the ring. As if you've forgotten about it."
Oh dear.
But yeah. So so I've been thinking about it quite a lot last night when mostly that Jack had done it, and I just think, like, let's be honest, there's quite a lot of clumsy moments
like that,
and like probably daily.
Yeah,
I would say little things might be just like walking into something, tripping over something, leaning on something that you probably shouldn't lean on, and it falls over.
Going to find a long wait.
Classic one. But then I know that you're a switched on guy, so it's just like what happens
Yeah.
Like what I would have said, I'd love to like be in your brain for a day, but more so like be in your brain for when you're training. That's what we want to get onto now. Is I guess I'll just ask you, when you're doing a workout and you're in a training session, like what do you think about? What goes through your head? Like, what's like?
What's going on?
Yeah,
what's going on up there?
I've never really asked you, and it'd be good to know.
I'll be honest. There's there's not much going on up there. I'm going to be really honest. There isn't. You might be surprised to hear that, Steve. But there's not much that I really think about. For me, I'm like a big feeler. Like I'll take a snatch or a butterfly pull up, for example. Like it's got to the stage where I can feel if I'm doing a movement right. So when I jump up and I start doing them, it's like, right, this feels good. I'm not actually telling myself anything really. Thus, like jumping up to do a chest to bar pull up and not even kind of thinking, is there room to do this without hitting my head? Like similar for a snatch as well. Like rather than giving myself specific cues, I'll look to kind of feel where the bar is. If I pause, like I'm actively trying to feel what muscles are working, or try and recruit them more by just either like pressing it into my body to feel my lats. There's not really that much that I'm telling myself. If more going into a workout slightly different, obviously I'll have a game plan that I tell myself, but it's literally right, I know I'm doing 7 reps here on these toes to the bar, then I'm going to drop down, I'm going to have a couple of seconds rest and straight back up. Like I'm not having a conversation with myself at all. And that's not all the time. Like occasionally I will be having a conversation with myself, but again it's very rare really, to be honest.
And something like really like quite more structural and just like a 5k row or a 30-minute bike or like where there isn't really anything technique wise, like maybe on a roll there is, but bike maybe not so much. What do you think about then? Or what happens then?
Again, not that much. So just take 5k row for example. I know before I start the 5k row, I know what my plan is. So I've already kind of recited it in my head, like I played it through, and it's like, right, sprint start after 500 meters. So coming up to 500 meters, like I'm easing, into my pace. By the time I get to the 1k, I'm well in my pace. So again, like there's a good chunk where I'm just doing the strokes, and again, I'm not really thinking about anything. I'll be like, I'm not, and then there'll be like certain parts of the workout where like I'll check the screen, right, I'm rowing at 146 here, I need to just pick it up a little bit, and it's just either something that's a little bit constructive, like right, I need to get this pace up, or like I can feel this on my legs a little bit too much, like I'm just going to adjust this. There's never really been negative, like there's never been any negative thoughts there, like I can't do this, for stuff like that anyway. If there's been times when I'm weightlifting and I've not been doing like many cleans, for example, which is something I struggle with a little bit more, like there's obviously been quite a lot of times where it's looked like I can pretty much do a power clean, like the bar's there and I've just like shoot myself getting under it, and that's for me is where it's just one of them where I just need to practice this weight, practice this a lot more at lighter weights, because then like the pattern's going to be so dialed in that when it gets heavier, like I'm not as fussed about the weight.
I always remember when you found that accessory, like warm-up exercise by I can't remember I don't know if it was like Donny Shankle or Pendley or somewhere. It's like the bar would come out like that and then you bang it into your hips.
It was actually clock up that. Yeah, it was.
It was more like it was a bit of a strange exercise, wasn't it? But it was more like just awareness of where the barbell is and feeling where it is, and that goes up with everything that you just said about then. Like when you're doing an exercise, you're all about how it feels rather than like where where your body is and what it's doing.
Yeah.
And your cleans actually dramatically increased when you started doing that exercise.
Yeah, it did.
It was almost as if this exercise was found was just like just the secret to clean. Because then we all started warming up, and it's like it didn't change much to me, but it worked.
Yeah, it really worked. It did really work for me. That. Yeah.
That's it is interesting. And it's actually like if you watch it, like I've watched you doing workouts before, and what you've explained there is like exactly your facial expression.
Yeah.
Well, there isn't a facial expression.
Yeah, it's just kind of
just a bit like just like just like as if there's nothing like going on. But I think that, not saying it's right or wrong, but I think that's also a reason why you've always been so good at the longer, lower skill, just like grunt work, and just, you know, as soon as you got the higher skill exercises down into that category where it was lower skill, because you'd worked on them, like as soon as they got into a workout there, then you'd always just be able to pick them up and do them at, you know, to a good level and at a good intensity. And always actually just be like really consistent with every training day and every performance, because everything was just kind of like
just the same.
Yeah, just the same. You know, news beats on.
Breaking news. Jack still doesn't think in workouts.
Breaking news, Jack's set up ring for the third time. So it's interesting like how things transfer, and then also outside of training, like I always say like you're much better than me at just kind of getting a computer, sitting down, having a drink, and just like cracking on and doing like what you've got to do, where I'm kind of a bit more like what we'll explain when we go into what I think about is it's more either like boom on real intense or like off. Like, and I struggle to probably like 3 hours is probably my maximum that I can be like behind a computer and really be like focus on something that needs a lot of like thought. Until then I either need to do like other things like writing emails or just little admin jobs that don't require as much like brain function.
So I'm disassociation then is what you're.
So I'll explain what I think about first. Like when I'm doing workouts where, you know, they mean something, it's a workout that's either going to be a qualifier or an event, or you know, like maybe there's a group of us and we want to kind of like go after it. I will need like 5 or 10 minutes to be able to get myself like in the zone to be able to do it. And it's not like I need more time to do the exercise and more time to warm up. It's just more time to be able to process what I'm about to do, like what the workout is and how I'm going to do it and where things are going to be, how I'm going to split it up, like maybe the techniques that I'm going to use at each stage of the workout, and just like maybe more than 5 or 10 minutes. And this is, you know, as an athlete, what I would be thinking about every single day outside of training, inside of training. Maybe it'd be like reflection on how I did something and be going over and over in my head. If I knew what my session was the next day, it would be like, again, just like thinking of that over and over again, how I would do things, what clothes would I be wearing for it, how would I take the thumbs, where does the chalk go, like every single like little detail I'd be just like constantly thinking about. And for me, when I wasn't able to think about that, like when my mind got took off it, I got a little bit on edge because I felt like because I wasn't thinking about it constantly, I was missing out.
Felt like you should.
Like there would be something that I would not think about if I wasn't constantly thinking about it. And then that would maybe have a disadvantage, like that maybe negatively affect my performance, because maybe if I did think about it and I remember to do it, I'd perform better. So like when it comes to in a workout, like all of those thoughts are being like transferred into it. And just always kind of like going on a big loop of like, right, what pace am I going? How does it feel? Like RPE, where do I feel like my heart rate is? How's my technique if I'm rowing? Like how's the technique? What's the stroke rate I'm on? And just be like always thinking about a lot of things, but then also super aware of like the surroundings, the people that are by the side of me, like the noise that the rower's making if I'm rowing again, like how the grip, how the handle feels in my hands, where my judge is, what he's saying, where he's stood, where everyone else's judges are. Like it's actually quite exhausting, like the amount of things that like go around and round. Like smell is a sense that just goes like completely off the scale.
Oh really? Right.
Like if I'm in an intense workout, like the amount of people when we was at JST that would have had a fucking an earful if they'd walked in the gym with some food.
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
I would just like smell it. Ella did it when we did that quarterfinals Satch workout. Like, it was a bit chill out, so I wasn't really bothered then. We just did it as a crack for the guys. But she walked in with like Thai duck meal, like, and I'd literally just started the workout, and I could taste the meal, and she was about 10-15 meters away. Like, so smell. My eyesight, believe it or not, gets a bit better. But more like bright. Like everything goes a lot brighter. And hearing as well, just like super sensitive to it. But I only really noticed that as soon as the workout stops. Because I feel like like my thoughts and like my senses are working overtime to be thinking about rowing pace, like surroundings and how the bar feels and everything, because that heightens the rest of the senses. And as soon as the workout's over, all then hear is music, light, smell, feel, and it's just like an overwhelming, just like a hit you. And that's usually when I'm like, turn the fucking music off.
Yeah.
Like we did the there's a whiteboard workout of 10, 9, 8 down to 1 of thrusters, chest bar pull-ups, and the remaining time of 10 minutes you max cal row. We did it in the gym at my house with Reggie Taylor, and Reggie went first, and he like sent the 10 down to 1. But I felt like if I also send it, I'll beat him. Yeah. Because I felt like there's a few areas where I could go faster. So I went second, and in the round of 6, like started at 10, so in the round of 6, I realised that if I was gonna carry on at this speed, like I'm not gonna be able to do that row, because I'm literally just gonna put myself over the cliff. Yeah. But I'd accepted that I wanted to do that to try and beat Reggie's time, because let's be honest, I was never gonna beat him on the row anyway. So I fully committed to the 10 down to 1 and fully like zoned in for that. He actually beat me by like 2 seconds, because it was just like I think it was the 1. I think I was still ahead of him when we put the videos next together until the 1 and the 1, and it took me that long to like transition. He just went past me and beat me. But like as soon as that finished that last rep, like there was a little bit of sun coming through the window, the music was on. Reggie was trying to get in my ear about like getting on the rower, and I was just like, everyone, just shut the fuck up right now. Yeah. Someone block that sun, because it's doing me head in. Turn that music off and give me a drink, because like at that point I would have gone like too far.
And just another thing to back up like what you're saying now is like when we're on a team, like you're the person you're looking around, you can obviously see and hear all these things, and you've got a feeling, you can kind of see how I'm feeling or how Ben was feeling or whatever. And for me, like I really struggle with that on a team, like to be aware of like everything else that's going on. I'm like, right, I'm going to just do my job and help everyone else out to the best of my ability, and like I find it really hard to try and concentrate on anything else. It's just like I'm just going to do my part as good as I can for everyone else, and just trying to help everyone else out as best as I can, but I can't focus on anything else.
It's bad, and I think like what's right or wrong, but in a team I feel like you need that balance, because you do kind of need one leader who's going to be aware of it and take everything in. And if everyone was like that, then it would maybe be a bit of a clash, a bit too much. But if everyone was like you, then maybe they would just be like, we wouldn't be able to change like not that we won't be able to change, but changing tactics or being aware of something that might happen might just be a bit slower because there's no one's like
on the ball as
on
such.
the ball.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of psychology in the degree.
Yeah.
Actually, after I did my degree, I did PT qualification, and then it was the instructor of the PT qualification that ran a neuro-linguistic programming course, or NLP, which I found like really like the most interesting part of any of the studies I've done. And this is basically it. It's how your brain like functions in certain circumstances, and one of the tasks was like switching between association and disassociation.
Right. So
pretty much everything that you've described there is disassociation, and everything that I've described as what I do is association. And another way to think about it is like disassociation is kind of like an outer body experience where you're not like maybe like in and focus on everything, but you're just kind of like zoned out, like maybe like looking at yourself from like third person. Whereas association is like you're fully like in your own body and like hyper aware of like if you're on a pull-up bar, like how the pull-up bar feels. Like, you know, is it a little bit chalky, a little bit smooth, and like there's a bit of rust. Just you're fully aware of absolutely like everything that's going on. But that's only really, you can only really properly do that for like short periods of time. And this again is where it maybe you know, it's a bit of an explanation of us how we were as athletes and people, I guess, is that the disassociation is where the longer events where you do just need to shut off and just keep like a good rhythm is where you exceeded it, and where I didn't, unless it was maybe like something that was good at, swimming or running or something. Like rowing, for example, or assault bike. Whereas association, where it's maybe something where it's a bit more faster, higher paced, higher skill, something that I've always been a bit better at. And it's interesting actually because we put a just before we started this podcast, we put a question on the Instagram stories, and people have answered it. You can actually highlight like which people are more disassociated and which people are associated, but there's also like positives and negatives to both. Like the negative to what can happen if association is just thinking about too much, and maybe like emotions or your thought process potentially could go like, if you don't get in control of it could go negative and have a negative effect on your performance. And the negative side of disassociation is that you're not fully switched on and aware to potential change that might happen, to be able to like deal and cope with it there and then.
And that's a good way to look at it, like whatever it is, whether you are thinking or you're not thinking, or whatever's going on in your head, you want to ask yourself, is this helpful or is this unhelpful? So quite a lot of people have said, why didn't I stick to the plan? Why am I not sticking to the plan? Or this is tough, and I underestimate myself. Like, it's one of them where either during the workout you need to have a quick conversation and be like, is this helpful? If it's not, it's one of them where the old pink elephant, where if I tell you, to think about pink elephant, you're going to think about pink elephant. It's one of them where it's called displacement, where you've got to choose what you think about in that moment. So rather than thinking about, why am I not doing this right? Like, this isn't feeling good. Like, that's where I feel like I can feel the bar close, or you might tell yourself, right, I need to go and I need to get that bar contact higher or something like that. That's where that displacement
rather than the bar contact's too low. You think about, I need to make it the contact.
Exactly.
So it is like everything. It's a skill that you've got to learn, and in the early stages where, like you said, the recent upload you did with the mindset journalist, you've got to create a habit of that thought process for it to be able to be like a subconscious thought process. Like you've got to write it down, read it, and physically like try in order for that to be like taken on board and become a habit
again
for every time you do a workout.
Spot on, because that's a skill in itself. So, and the other thing is, for most people who are on one of on the bias programs of the All Rounder, or even on Compete, to be honest, there's obviously workouts throughout the week, and this is a great time to be just challenging yourself with this stuff in a workout. So rather than thinking about the intensity all the time and smashing yourself to bits, it's like, right, what am I actually, going into this workout, what is going to be more beneficial to me? I usually have these thoughts where I start to think negative. Right, my goal for this workout today, going into the workout, is going to be put one positive cue that's going to help me. Do you know what I mean? It's stuff like that that's going to make a big difference. So, and
I think I don't think you're either one or the other.
No.
I think because you explained things that are where you're associated when you said how things feel, like how the barbell feels.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. You always said that when it related to something that was much higher skill, like snatching or cleans, or in gymnastics exercises, you'd always be thinking how it feels, and that was your level of association. And it's just like it's the intensity of that association that differs between people. But as soon as then you could get to the point where that skill didn't need that associated state of mind, and it could be performed at that level disassociated, that's when you could crack on and you could complete that skill, and the skill was going nowhere to a good level, and then something else would need to then fill that associated. Weightlifting's easy because it just goes up in weight, but gymnastics and movement is a bit different. But there was a few others that I'd seen. I'd get the old specs on for this. Music and breathing, like that's someone who's thinking of, like, who's associated more so, like they're thinking of like what's going. This too shall pass is more like an outer body thought. You'll feel fine 5 minutes after this is over is more again about taking the mind away from what's going on. Surroundings and music, often think about pacing, counting reps, positive self-talk, never hear music. I think although they're different, surroundings and music is the disassociation. The pacing and descending reps, positive self-talk, I feel like that's more like inside, but it's interesting, there's people are either on
one of the other.
And coming back to your head incident, like I think it's why. I think because you live your life more like outer body, like little things like tripping over a little bit of something on the floor like happens because you're not always fully aware of exactly where your foot is and where you're walking or where the pull-up bar is.
And for you, it's like you're doing work there, someone's outside eating an apple. You're like fully tuned in with that person eating an apple, and you're like, I literally can't concentrate because that person's eating an apple.
And that's that becomes a bit of my. But like I said, I can only concentrate on work for so many, like work that fully needs my focus, like writing a program for so many hours of the day. But also like in my head, if I've got a plan to do something, and then something happens and I can't do what I plan to do, like I get a little bit infuriated that like because my thought process is just like intense on what needs to be done.
And with the association as well, like when I've read about like Chris Bosch, he used to picture out exactly how a game was going to go before he did the game and exactly what moves he was going to do. Like they say, the more detail you can put into that, like what you can smell, what you can hear, like the more likely you are to recreate that as well. So that's where, like, again, just being able to play stuff in your mind beforehand is actually a big advantage, because you in fact, when you're doing that, you're actually practicing reps without even doing reps.
Yeah.
And it's actually proven, there's loads of studies on it, and it's actually proven to make quite a big difference.
Yeah. It's usually, like for me, and like what I always remember is like if an event's coming up, and I would literally like go through that event, and this is what we learned on the NLP course, is like, say, every time you think about it, layer another layer of detail on top, so that it becomes more real life, like every single time we did it. So it'd probably just start off quite like low key, and then you'd like layer of detail, like what do you smell, what do you hear, how things like maybe more like tactics, how things are going to be broken up. And then when you do come into the workout, and I felt this a lot of times, like I feel almost comforted that I've been here, I know what this is, I've been here. Almost to the point like sometimes when you redo a workout from a Friday on a Monday in the open, it's just like you know how this feels and you know what it's like. And sometimes like when you think about that event or that workout so much, you almost get that same feeling that I've already done this and I know how it feels like. So my body and my brain like can adapt and deal with it, rather than it being a bit of a shock to the system and not really knowing what's going on. I feel like that. And when I said when I get a little bit on edge when I can't think about that so much, it's because of that. Like I feel like I could be more prepared if I think about this for 7 days straight.
Whereas for me, I feel like I'd probably end up stressing myself out a little bit too much about it. So a perfect example of that is the 2017 Open, and it was like between me and Mitch, I think, for the first in the UK, and it came to the last Open workout, and he came up, and I ended up getting worried to me, which I've never had before ever, and it was like, because I was like, right, I need to do this, and it was just too much, whereas it just should have been, right, just
take it as it goes.
Yeah, so...
but yeah, it's funny. It's funny to like remember the instances where you've either been on extreme one or the other. I always remember 16.1 where you're over at walking lunging, and you're that tune like that, just kind of like switched off and just moving and at a good pace. You actually walking lunged into the rig, which is well. And for me, it's a little bit uncomprehendable because I'm like so much on the other side of things.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how do you not know?
Yeah, how did you do that? It's like I'd never really thought about that before until you said before. So it was really quite interesting.
So maybe we can think about ways where we can stop Jack from.
Yeah, well, that's something for me to try and get better at. And to be honest, I feel like for me now more is like trying to get better as a person and a coach a bit more, and just trying to be more present with stuff. Like I feel like I'm almost learning that stuff the association stuff that you said without even like really knowing it. Like trying to be more present as a person. Like what is going on here? Like I'm listening to how people are feeling, or like how they're breathing, or just kind of being aware of what's going on a little bit more. And it is hard, but I know that's something I need to get better at, and that's definitely something that, like, if I'm getting better at it on a daily basis with other stuff, I know that come a workout, and probably if I need to switch to more of an association, mindset, that I can probably start to apply that a little bit more as well. Yeah, interesting.
It is. Just thinking back to different. I remember regionals 2018, and if you remember that chipper, with the one, the lunge went past like 5 people.
Yeah.
It's like the end of the workout, and I finished with like 100 feet there, 100 feet back, maybe, and then 100 feet there, he did it unbroken, and went past like 5 people, and then I put the dumbbells down. And rested for like 30 seconds, and there was only like 40 seconds left of the workout, and you picked them up, and it was time, and you're like, what? Yeah. But that's probably because you'd managed to go unbroken and take on so many people because you could switch off. Yeah. And then you were too switched off to be able to see that there was 40 seconds left. Whereas for me, I would probably be fully aware that there was 40 seconds left, but I'd probably have to drop them out. Because I was like overthinking.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I guess like for just the people to take home, I guess the displacement one's pretty good. Trying to think of something else or something that's helpful. If you are having something that is you're thinking about something unhelpful, let's try and flip that around. That's probably one good take home to have.
I feel like probably the ideal situation to be in is a mixture of both. A bit like everything in CrossFit, like the ideal situation as an athlete to be in is an all-rounder. So to be able to be like versatile, to switch to strength exercises, to conditioning, and same with your mindset, to be able to be versatile, because the tasks and the demands are so like versatile. To be able to, if it's a 50k bike, to be able to switch off and disassociate more. If it's like a really intense like lift or like high skill or intense workout, to be able to dial in the other way and to be able to switch between the two. So I think like I said is probably it's just good awareness to be able to think, what type of person am I? And then like
definitely.
How can I train the other way? But also making sure that the thoughts that I am thinking are helping me perform, rather than just accepting, I disassociate, but I'm always like thinking like how hard this workout is and how bad I am at it. Like rather than thinking like accepting, this is a hard workout, but to get better I need to start.
Finding what's helpful.
Probably first of all become aware of what you're more or less of. And then just start fine-tuning. Again, cheeky little plug, the mindset journal is exactly where those habits are created.
It is. Like you just said, first things first, just becoming aware of it is what you need to do. So just spending a couple of minutes reflecting either during or after training, like that's just the first thing. And let's start small. Let's just write one thing that you've learned from each training session. Then when you've done that for a couple of weeks, build it up, set the bar low so you can tick off them goals and then build it up. Because if you feel like I'm doing this now, I'm writing this once a day, it's just one thing, and then you can build it up because you start to build that motivation and momentum to take it forward. So.
And it's we've always said, when you get into that competition setting, quite often your level of like logic, the level of logic that you have in your thought process becomes quite immature. So like if it is all trained to the point where it's fluent, it doesn't matter how immature it gets, because it's just in the habit of doing it in the highest pressure situations.
And that's the key thing. You need to be practicing it every day so that it becomes a habit, so that by the time you get to the competition you don't need to think about it because it's a habit. That's the goal. That's goals right there.
It's goals. There we go. I think we should round it off.
Hopefully
that's got people less used to looking at me.
What about we are?
I could do it.